Hi, today we're talking about constipation and the dietary management of constipation. Now, constipation is one of the most common complaints that people have, and it is estimated that about 15 to 20% of the world's population suffers from constipation. Constipation has many causes, and quite frequently it is due to malfunction of the wall of the bowel, or in other cases it is due to organic conditions such as Parkinson's disease, spinal cord injury, cancer of the bowel, or medications that patients take. Not infrequently, constipation is simply a result of poor dietary choices that people make. And in situations such as those, we can easily reverse the constipation by making adjustments to our diet. Today's video is going to be about these adjustments that we can make. Now, one of the simplest measures we can implement to correct constipation and to prevent its recurrence is to increase the amount of fiber in our diets. Fiber, as you know, is the indigestible portion of plant material that we consume, that we eat. And fiber comes in two forms. It comes as soluble fiber or it comes as insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber, once it gets into the bowel, forms a gel-like substance that mixes with the stool and softens the stool so that the stool is easily extruded. Soluble fiber also feeds bacteria in the colon when it gets there, and in that respect it is known as a prebiotic, which is a material that is fermented by the bacteria in the bowel and that promotes the activity and the growth of these bacteria. Insoluble fiber is fiber that comes from the tougher portions of the plant, and this type of fiber, when it gets into the bowel, does not dissolve, but rather it absorbs fluid from the bowel and it bulks the stool in the bowel so that the bulky stool with more fluid absorbed from the insoluble fiber is able to move through the bowel easier, and we're able to have a bubble motion with less effort through having enough an adequate supply of insoluble fiber in the bowel. Now, foods that are rich in soluble fibers include the beans, the peas, and the legumes, as well as certain fruit such as strawberries, citrus fruit, potatoes, bananas. And foods that are rich in insoluble fiber are the foods that form, for instance, the husks of grains like wheat bran and oat bran, certain seeds, and other parts of the fruit such as skins of fruit and vegetables, skins of vegetables. These all have insoluble fibers in them. Now, it is recommended that for people who are less than 51 years old, as far as women are concerned, they should aim to get 25 grams of fiber in their diet every day. And for women who are over 50, they should aim to get 21 grams of fiber in their diet on a daily basis. Men, on the other hand, below age 51 should aim to get 38 grams of fiber in their diets, and men over 50 should try to get at least 30 grams of fiber in their diet in order to maintain bowel health. It is recommended that we should have at least 2 cups of fruit and vegetables every day, which is about 9 servings, in order to preserve our digestive health. A second group of foods that we can use to regulate our bowels and to prevent constipation is the group of products known as dairy products, more specifically kefir and yogurt. Kefir and yogurt both contain probiotics, which are bacteria that are important to the functioning of the bowel and to our general health. And these bacteria, such as Lactobacillus acidophilus and Bifidobacterium lactis, are bacteria that are found in kefir and in yogurt, and that help to maintain our digestive health, as well as they supposedly may soften stool, so that by taking a daily dose of kefir or yogurt, we can maintain the movement of our bowels and prevent constipation. Studies have shown that by taking 180 milliliters of yogurt on a daily basis for at least 2 weeks, the incidence of constipation and the bowel transit time was decreased, and the incidence of constipation was decreased in people who suffer from chronic constipation. So that 180 ml, which is about 6 ounces of yogurt, is adequate for bowel control and for the prevention of constipation. Prunes, which is everybody's favorite, and with good reason, is also a food that can be used to manage constipation. Prunes are rich in insoluble fiber, and as we discussed before, insoluble fiber is very effective at maintaining bowel health. Prunes also contain sorbitol. Sorbitol is a sugar alcohol that acts through osmosis to draw fluid and minerals into the bowel lumen, and in so doing it softens the stool. Sorbitol also has a direct stimulatory effect on the wall of the bowel, so that the combination of a high concentration of insoluble fiber coupled with the presence of sorbitol makes prunes extremely effective at managing constipation. People can enjoy prunes in many different ways. They can have prunes in their natural form, or they can have prunes cooked in pies, or they can have prunes with their cereal, or people even make smoothies with prunes. Figs, which are a fruit that belong to the mulberry group, are rich in both soluble and insoluble fibers. And as we discussed before, both soluble and insoluble fibers play a role in regulating our bowel. A serving of 5 figs per day provides about 3.5 grams of fiber. Green kiwi fruit is also a food that we can use to prevent constipation. And green kiwi fruit has been used by Chinese medical practitioners for millennia. Green kiwi fruit contains oligosaccharides and insoluble fibers that are not easily digested in the bowel. Because of that, the insoluble fibers and the oligosaccharides make their way unchanged, unaltered, into the large bowel. In the large bowel, they are broken down by the bacteria in the bowel into short-chain fatty acids. And short-chain fatty acids such as butyrate, acetate, and propionate are the result of this fermentation process that the bacteria perform on the fibers that arrive in the bowel. Butyrate has been shown to stimulate the nervous systems that exist in the wall of the bowel. And through this process, the short-chain fatty acid butyrate stimulates the bowel and helps with the movement of stool in the bowel. Kiwi also has an enzyme called actinidin in it, which helps with the digestion of proteins in the upper portions of the bowel and help to promote bowel motility, so that apart from the oligosaccharides and the insoluble fibers, kiwi fruit also has this enzyme actinidin, which helps to promote the movement of the bowel. Flax seeds, which contain a large amount of mucilage, are also excellent choices for the control of constipation. Mucilage, which is a gooey, mushy substance that once it gets into the bowel, it lines the entire intestinal tract, helps the movement of food and stool through the intestinal tract. Mucilage is a viscous, soluble fiber that is found in certain plants beyond flaxseed. For instance, mucilage can be found in okra, and it can be found in psyllium, and it can be found in aloe vera and cassava. So that mucilage, which absorbs a very large amount of fluid in the bowel, helps to soften the stool and make the stool easily passable. Flaxseed can be enjoyed as a meal. It can be made into a flour and made into muffins with bran, or flaxseed can be taken with cereal, so that there are many ways to enjoy flaxseed. Shirataki noodles are also an excellent choice for constipation. And shirataki noodles, which are sometimes called konjac noodles or miracle noodles, are made from glucomannans from the root of the konjac plant. Konjac plant is a plant that grows in Japan and China and Southeast Asia and contains carbohydrates, most of which are indigestible. Glucomannans are made into a flour, which is then mixed with a little lime juice, and this can be made into noodles which are then consumed. Glucomannan can absorb as much as 50 times its weight in water, and therefore helps to soften the stool in the bowel and to promote easy passage of stool. Coffee, which is one of the most popular beverages in the world, has also been shown to be a laxative in about 1/3 of the population. Roasted coffee is really a mixture of up to 1,000 different compounds, and coffee has been shown to promote the bowel movement in certain people, whether or not it is caffeinated or decaffeinated. And this tends to suggest that the laxative property of coffee is not due to the caffeine in the coffee, but maybe due to one of the other compounds that exists in roasted coffee. Above and beyond this, coffee also has fiber, which are soluble and which can be fermented in the bowel to form short-chain fatty acids. And as we discussed before, short-chain fatty acids can stimulate the bowel wall and lead to a bowel movement. Citrus fruit, such as oranges, tangerines, grapefruit, etc., have large amounts of fiber, and these two are useful for the management of constipation. Citrus fruit also have a flavanol in them called naringenin, which has been shown in animal studies to be a laxative. Beyond this, citrus fruit also have vitamin C. They're rich in vitamin C, and vitamin C draws fluid into the bowel, which helps to soften the stool and helps with the passage of the stool. Rhubarb, which is a popular springtime vegetable, is also good for the management of constipation. Rhubarb is a plant that is not edible in its entirety because the leaves of the rhubarb plant are poisonous, so that usually only the stems are consumed. And in the grocery store, you'll find rhubarb stems, and these are easily recognizable from their bright pink color. In order for rhubarb to exert its laxative effect, rhubarb has to be converted to rind anthrones, and both rhubarb and senna contain senosides and anthrone glycosides, which are converted in the bowel into the active substances that promote the bowel movement. Senosides are not by themselves purgatives, but when they are fermented in the bowel by the bowel bacteria, enzymes that are produced by the bowel bacteria break down the senosides into aglycones, and the aglycone is the substance that is really active in the bowel from the rhubarb and from the senna plants. Rhubarb, if it is taken for too long, or if rhubarb is taken in too large quantities, then rhubarb itself can cause constipation. Herbal remedies do exist as well for chronic constipation, and cascara is one of the more popular ones. Cascara, which is an extract from the bark of the buckthorn tree, is a substance that irritates the bowel wall, and through its irritation of the bowel wall, it promotes the passage of stool. Cascara, however, should not be taken for extended periods because cascara can cause complications such as acute and chronic liver failure. Senna, which is another herb that is popular for the treatment of constipation, is, as we discussed before, converted in the bowel into its active form. The active substance in senna stimulates the bowel wall and promotes the passage of stool. Senna, however, should not be used for extended periods of time, similar to cascara, because extended use of senna has been linked to electrolyte imbalances, heart disease, liver disease, kidney disease, so that senna should be used only for short periods of time, especially since people can develop dependence on senna and then are forced to take senna on a continuous basis to maintain bowel movements. As we can see, there are many foods and many natural products that can be used to manage constipation. However, causes of constipation are both many and varied, and therefore it is very important for us to speak to our doctor, to consult with our doctor if we have chronic constipation. Thank you for watching, and subscribe to this channel for more useful tips on healthy living.